Hey there, fellow knowledge seekers. We've all been there, stuck in a lecture, frantically scribbling notes like our lives depend on it. It's almost like a race against time, trying to capture every single word the teacher utters. We think we're being good students, soaking up every word. We believe that by writing everything down, we're ensuring we won't miss a thing. But what if I told you that all that note-taking might actually be holding you back? Yes, you heard that right. It might be more of a hindrance than a help. Instead of really listening and engaging with the material, you're too busy acting like a human stenography machine. This means you're missing out on the deeper understanding. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're talking about something that might completely change the way you study. Why you should never take notes during a lecture. I know, that sounds crazy, right? We've been taught for years that taking notes helps us remember better. But what if I told you that writing during a lecture is actually hurting your ability to learn? Stick around because I'll explain the science behind this and show you what to do instead. The big mistake most students make. Alright, let's start with this. Have you ever taken pages and pages of notes in class, only to realize later that you barely remember what the lecture was about? If that's you, you're not alone. Studies show that when you're busy writing, you're not actually listening. Your brain is focused on transcribing words, not processing the meaning behind them. Dr. John Dunlosky, a cognitive psychologist, says, passive study techniques like note-taking during a lecture are among the least effective ways to learn. Think about it. When was the last time you remembered something just because you wrote it down? Probably never. You remember things because you engage with them, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. So why is note-taking such a learning no-no for many students? Well, let's get scientific for a moment and dive deeper. Cognitive psychology, which is the study of how our brains learn, has some answers for us. Research shows that our brains aren't built for multitasking effectively. When we try to listen, process information, and write all at the same time, something's gotta give. And that something is usually our actual understanding of the material being taught. Instead of deeply processing the information, we end up focusing on just getting it down on paper. It's like trying to take a sip of water from a fire hose. You might get a little bit, but you're mostly going to end up soaked and overwhelmed. Okay, so if traditional note-taking is out, what's the alternative? How can we make sure we're capturing all the important information without missing a beat? Get this, it's called Listen First, Write Later, and it's a total game changer. This method flips the script on how we've been taught to learn. Here's how it works. Instead of frantically scribbling, just focus on really listening and understanding what's being said. Pay attention to the key points and the overall message. That's right, just sit there and soak it all in. Let the words and ideas flow over you without the pressure of writing everything down immediately. Let the information wash over you. Make connections and ask questions. Engage with the material in real time, and don't be afraid to seek clarification. Then, after the lecture or lesson, take some time to reflect on what you learned and write down the key takeaways. This reflection period is crucial for solidifying your understanding. This method has tons of benefits. It not only helps you retain information better, but also makes learning a more enjoyable experience. First, it allows your brain to fully engage with the material without distractions. You're not splitting your focus between listening and writing. Second, it forces you to synthesize and summarize the information, which strengthens your understanding and recall. By processing the information actively, you make it your own. Trust me, your brain will thank you. Give it a try and see how much more effective and enjoyable your learning can be. Section 4, Ditch the Highlighter, Smart Reading Strategies. But what about when you're faced with a mountain of reading material? It can be daunting, right? The sheer volume can make you feel overwhelmed and unsure where to start. No need for frantic highlighting or underlining. These methods can often be more distracting than helpful. Instead, try these smart reading strategies. First, skim and scan. This technique helps you get a general idea of the content before diving deep. Before you dive in, take a quick look at the headings, subheadings, and any visuals. These elements provide a framework for understanding the material. This gives your brain a roadmap of the information. It's like having a mental guide to navigate through the text. Second, engage with the text. Don't just passively read, interact with it. Ask yourself questions as you read. What's the main point? What arguments or evidence are being presented? How does this connect to what I already know? Making connections helps deepen your understanding. Third, summarize in your own words. This is a powerful way to reinforce what you've learned. After reading a section, pause and summarize the key points in your own words. This helps solidify the information in your memory. This helps you process and remember the information. Summarizing is a great way to check your understanding. Remember, reading isn't a race. It's not about how fast you can get through the material. It's about understanding and absorbing the information. Take your time to really grasp the concepts. So slow down, engage with the text, and make it meaningful to you. These strategies will make your reading more effective and enjoyable. Section 5. Become a learning machine. So there you have it, folks. Note-taking might seem like a study staple, but it's time to ditch this outdated habit and embrace more effective ways to learn. Remember, it's not about how much information you cram into your brain, but how well you understand and apply it in real life. As the great Albert Einstein once said, the value of education is not the learning of many facts but the training of the mind to think critically. True understanding comes from God. Proverbs 2:6 says, "For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Trust in God, pray for understanding, and apply the keys of proper learning.